You're never gonna get my love. Now I know the girl. Who do you think you are? Mr. Big Stuff.
Jean Knight, who struck platinum with Mr. Big Stuff, dies at 80. Her anthem of female strength topped the Billboard R&B chart and reached number 2 on the pop chart in 1971. Its appeal has endured.
Do you think I can afford to give you my love?
Jean Knight, a soul singer whose memorable single Mr. Big Stuff, a brassy anthem of female strength, rose to number 1 on Billboard's Rhythm and Blues chart in 1971, died on Wednesday in Tampa, Florida.
You're never gonna get my love. Now I know the girl.
She was 80. Her death in a hospital was confirmed by Mona Zimanko, a publicist for Miss Knight's family. She did not specify the cause. The gutsy narrator of Mr. Big Stuff, which was released on the Memphis-based Stax label, tells a wealthy ladies' man with his fancy clothes and a big fine car that she will never love him. Mr. Big Stuff, who do you think you are? Mr. Big Stuff, you're never gonna get my love. When she sang Mr. Big Stuff on the television show Soul Train, Miss Knight exhibited the narrator's disdain for the wealthy man in her facial gestures and in the way she defiantly planted her hand on her right hip and wagged her right index finger. But her strong voice softened when she sang that she would rather have a poor guy that has a love that's true. Miss Knight received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. Aretha Franklin won for Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Mr. Big Stuff was nominated for Best R&B Song. Bill Withers won for Ain't No Sunshine. Mr. Big Stuff, written by Carol Washington, Rolf Williams, and Joseph Broussard, topped Billboard's R&B chart and rose to number 2 on the magazine's Hot 100. It was also certified double platinum for selling at least 2 million units. The music historian John Broven, the author of Rhythm and Blues in New Orleans 1978, said in an email that Mr. Big Stuff marked the end of the golden age of New Orleans R&B and helped to kickstart the city's funk soul era. He added, it was also remarkable for being recorded on the same day as an earlier number 1 R&B hit, Groove Me, by another New Orleans artist, King Floyd, by talented producer Wardell Quazergu, at a time when New Orleans was suffering from a dearth of big hits. In 2002, before singing Mr. Big Stuff at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, Miss Knight told the audience that the royalties she received from it has helped sustain her financially. Mr. Big Stuff is better for me now than 31 years ago, she said. All I have to do is sit at home and wait for the mailman. It would be her only major hit, but it had a long afterlife. It can be heard on the soundtracks of numerous movies and TV shows. It has been sampled by Heavy D, Eazy-E, and John Legend. Miss Knight was born Jean Audrey Caliste on January 26, 1943 in New Orleans. Her father, Louis, was a storekeeper and her mother, Florence, was a homemaker. After graduating from high school, Miss Knight sang at a cousin's New Orleans bar. In 1965, she recorded a version of Jackie Wilson's hit 1960 song Doggin' Around as a demo. That led to a contract with the Jetstar/Tribe record label. Around that time, she changed her surname to Knight because she believed that Caliste was difficult to pronounce. She earned money in the 1960s as a baker's assistant at 2 New Orleans universities. After she recorded Mr. Big Stuff, according to a tribute to Miss Knight on the Stax Museum website, the song was shopped to national labels, but each entreaty was rejected, until Groove Me became a hit and a producer at Stax Records remembered Knight's recording of Mr. Big Stuff and released it. Miss Knight had another hit single in 1971, You Think You're Hot Stuff, which rose to number 19 on the Billboard's R&B chart and number 57 on the Hot 100. 14 years later, her cover of the Zydeco musician Rockin' Sydney's novelty song My Toot Toot, recorded for the Mirage label, peaked at number 50 on the Hot 100 and number 59 on the R&B chart. Miss Knight graduated from nursing school in the 1980s and was a licensed practical nurse for about 15 years. She also continued to perform around New Orleans, but she was displaced from her home by Hurricane Katrina in 2005 and lived in a FEMA trailer for about 6 months. She was a broad member of the Louisiana Music Commission and was inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame in 2007. Miss Knight was a regular at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, last appearing there in 2016. Its producer and director, Quint Davis, said she had been integral to the event. Jean Knight is a core artist in R&B, certainly in New Orleans and Gulf Coast R&B, Mr. Davis said in a phone interview. She wasn't only a singer and artist, she was a performer who knew how to reach the crowd and work it. She is survived by her son, Emile Commodore, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Her marriages to Thomas Commodore and Earl Harris ended in divorce. During her performance at the 2007 festival, Miss Knight told the story behind Mr. Big Stuff. First, she sang its melody as originally written, then she demonstrated how she had changed it. That ain't got no bite to it, she recalled telling one of the songwriters, in response to which he said, "Jean, everybody knows how sassy you are," and encouraged her to alter it. "It worked, in one take," she insisted. The New York Times quoted her as saying. And when the song is played, she added, "The chicks come to me." Mr. Big Stuff singer Jean Knight, last words before she died. "Life is for the living, death is for the dead. Let life be like music, and things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end, if not always in the way we expect. Death is a note unsaid."